Hello, welcome to Archimedy Coach. In this section, we are going to discuss about the everything about the vitamins, and this discussion is under the biochemistry. And in first part, we already discussed how many types of vitamins and what are their role in our body. So in this section, we are going to discuss about the vitamin A, and later on section we are going to discuss about the vitamin D, E, K, and after that we will discuss about the water soluble vitamins. Now we are discussing here vitamin A basically, and what are the main parts in vitamin A we are going to discuss here. Basically about the introduction, then chemistry of the vitamin A, then structure of the vitamin A, then metabolism, how inside our body the vitamin A is going to perform their action, then function of the vitamin A, then deficiency of the vitamin A, therapeutic dosage, resources or the sources of the vitamin A, and RD of the vitamin A, that is the daily allowance. Now let's start our topic. In this section, vitamin A is present in our body basically in two forms, retinoids and carotenoids. What is retinoids? Basically here, retinoids is a active vitamin A. It is the active vitamin A, and it is obtained from the animal sources basically. So the retinoids is obtained from the animal source, and it is active form of vitamin A. It is the compound which is chemically related to the retinol. It is the alcohol related compound because in its end we can see there is a ol is present, and ol is the functional group of alcohol, so it is related to the alcohol group and retinol. Now we can see here in the carotenoids is the next type of the vitamin A, in which it is the provitamins. It is the provitamin of the vitamin A, and it is obtained from the plant sources. So carotenoids is obtained from the plant sources, and retinoids is obtained from the animal sources basically. In this section about the next one is the richest source of the carotenoids is the carrot, and we can see here the beta carotene is the most prevalent carotenoid in the vitamin A resources. Will be the beta carotene is most prominent or the most prevalent. So two types of vitamin A. Now you know retinoids and carotenoids. Let's start our discussion about the differences between them, in which the first one is carotenoids. Carotenoids is basically obtained from the beta carotene, and it is the acting as an antioxidant. The antioxidant vitamin is A. Next, lutein and zeaxanthin. These are used for the treatment of the macular degeneration. What is the macular degeneration? We discuss in the ophthalmology topic, but it is about the macula of our eye. In that region, they are going to degenerate slowly. So these vitamins, that is lutein and zeaxanthin, the types of vitamin A, they are the substrate of vitamin A. They are acting as a treatment of the macular degeneration. Next one is lycopene. Lycopene is also used for the treatment of the prostate cancer. If any person is suffer from the prostate cancer, then we can give them lycopene. That is also substrate of the carotenoids. Next one is retinoids. Retinoids is basically three forms, that is retinol, retinal, and retinoic acid. So these are the three forms of the retinoids. We can see here the retinol, that is alcohol. Already told you OL means alcohol functional group. Here there are two types of the retinol, all trans retinol and 11 cis retinol. There are two forms of the alcohol, that is retinol groups. There has been two forms, all trans retinol and the 11 cis retinol, and their main role in the reproduction. These vitamins, that is retinol, they are derivatives of the retinoid. They're more role in reproduction. But in the second one we can see, that is retinol aldehyde group. There are also two form, all trans retinol and the 11 cis retinol. These are also two types, and their role in vision. So these are also two types. Next one, retinoic acid. Retinoic acid is a derivative of carboxylic acid, and they are having three types or the three forms, all trans retinoic acid, the first one. The second one is, we can see 9 cis retinoic acid, and the third one is 13 cis retinoic acid. These are the three forms of the carboxylic acid derivative retinoic acid, and their role in gene expression, the genetic expression will be from these vitamins, that is retinoic acid. And the next one is growth and development promotes in our body. Next one is the tissue differentiation in our body. These all are the function of which vitamin? That is derivative of vitamin A, that is retinoids. Inside the retinoids, the three forms, that is retinoic acid. So these are all discussion about the different two types of the retinoic acid, that is retinoids and carotenoids. Next one we can see the structure of vitamin A. It is the ring like a structure, and in this ring of the vitamin A structure, there is two types of main parts is present. The first one is beta anon ring, and the next one we can see isoprenoid side chain, that is a 5 carbon compound isoprenoid side chain is attached to the beta anon ring, and this ring having two beta carotenes. Beta carotenes ring is basically having two beta anion ring is present. It means the one beta carotene is having two anion rings, two beta anion rings, and one isopenoid chain. These combined together and they are forming the vitamin A structure. Next we can see what are the metabolism of vitamin A. In metabolism we are going to see about the absorption of vitamin A and the transportation of vitamin A. Suppose that we eat some carrot and after that the this food or this carrot is going to inside our stomach, and after that these carrots are going to absorb, and then after that carotenoids in the form of carotenoids or retinoids, and after that they are going to transport it in the different parts of our body through the blood circulation. So let's start see here about the absorption and transport and storage of the vitamin A. Where the absorption will occurs, the basically in the intestinal lumen. It is true, in the intestinal lumen the absorption is happening, and in the intestinal cells after the absorption they are moving, and after that they are going into the blood circulation simply. So inside the diet they are coming from the plant sources, animal sources. The plant sources already told you, that is beta carotene. From the plant sources there is a beta carotene or the 2 beta anion. Next one, animal sources, there is a retinol ester is coming. If we take any plant source, then there is a beta carotene is appearing in our intestine. If the animal source, then there is a retinol ester. After that this retinol ester is hydrolyzed and convert into retinol. So this is the conversion. Here we can see there is the conversion of retinol ester into the retinol by the hydrolysis. After that they are transported inside the intestinal cell. We can see here in the form of retinol ester. Next one we can see the beta carotene is also transported into the intestinal cell in the form of retinol. And just the entrance of this beta retinol into the intestinal cells, we can see here intestinal cells, there is a dehydrogenase enzyme is acting on it, and this dehydrogenase enzyme is converting the beta carotene into the retinol. And once again we can see in the intestinal cells, on the retinol there is a fatty acid is acting on it, and this fatty acid is converting them into retinol ester. And this retinol ester is going to assemble in the lipoproteins. Inside the lipoproteins, this retinol ester is going to covered by the lipoproteins, and then they are stored in the form of chylomicrons. So finally they are called as chylomicrons. Next we can see these retinol esters or the chylomicrons are going to the liver. They are going to the liver, and basically on these retinol esters with the lipoproteins, these are the lipoproteins here, lipoproteins, and on these lipoproteins we can see there is a ApoE ligand is present, and these ligand are going to attach on the liver, and the liver for this ApoE ligand there is a special type of receptor is present, and what the receptor is called, ApoE receptor. Here we can see, look on it, ApoE receptor, on which the ApoE ligand is going to bind by the retinol esters, and inside the liver after that the entry of retinol ester is inside it. And what happened after that, this liver, inside the liver there is a retinol ester is going to stored in the perisinusoidal cells. Inside the liver there is a perisinusoidal regions, and inside these cells there is a retinol ester is going to stored, and that is vitamin A. Now you know what are the cells which is going to store this vitamin A or the retinol esters, that is called as ITO cells. ITO, these cells are called as ITO cells. So the vitamin A storage cells are the ITO cells, and in the form of the retinol ester. What happen after that, sometime if the vitamin A is required in our body, then these vitamins from the liver is going to the target organ, and through the target organ they performing their action in the different regions of our body, mainly in the skin or the eyes region. So what are the complex between them, between the liver and between the target organ, what are the complexes which are going to perform their action, by the which main enzymes or the which main action they are going to perform their action. There are three main complex that is called as tri-tertiary complex or the trimolecular complex. Inside it there is a three component. There is a transport protein, there is another side transport protein, and in between them there is a retinol esters. It means somehow this is the retinol ester structure, RE retinol ester, and two proteins are attached here, protein 1 and protein 2, like this. This is a tertiary molecular structure. Tertiary molecular structure we can see here that this is the tertiary molecular structure, and it is present in say both the side, and in between them there is a retinyl ester is present. So after that, what is happening, for what we are doing this, after that they are going to bind with the retinol binding protein or transthyretin protein. These are the two proteins through which these retinol esters are going to transported from the one area to the another area. It means once suppose that these retinol esters are present in the liver, and from the liver we have to reach to the skin surface of our hand. It means somehow we have to transport the retinol esters from the liver to the skin. So there is a transportation of this retinol esters from the liver to the skin surface, and this is done by the two proteins basically, that is called as, one is called as the, we can see here, RBP retinol binding protein, and the second one is the transthyretin protein. Transthyretin and RBP, these are the two proteins through which these retinol esters or vitamin A is going to transport it to the target organ. Next we can see what are the function of the vitamin A basically. Function of the vitamin A, we can see here, the first one, their main role in the vision. And what is the main forms of vitamin A which is performing their action in the vision, that is 11-cis retinol. It's very important here. Next one is skin of mucosa or the mucosal skin, which having the maintenance of the epithelium is done by this vitamin. So the vitamin A deficiency will be leads to a desquamation of the epithelium. So the maintenance of epithelium is basically done by the vitamin A. Next one, their main role in the reproduction, that is main form, which form of the vitamin A is performing their role in the reproduction, that is retinol. Next one is the regulation of gene expression. The genetic expression will be performed by the vitamin A, and in which form, that is retinoic acid. Next one we can see the growth and development and the tissue differentiation and the antioxidant vitamins. Antioxidant vitamin called as vitamin A, and also there is a which form, that is beta carotene, and there is a photosensitive and the photoprotective nature of this vitamin is. So next, what is the, now we are going to see about the function of this vitamin A one by one, how they performing their function in the vision, how in the skin mucosa reproduction or the genetic regulation or the growth and development, tissue differentiation or the antioxidant vitamins. We are discussing one by one, and in last we are going to see about their storage and the sources of the vitamin A or the daily dosage of the vitamin A, in which person what dosage will be given. So let's start in the vision vitamin A. There is a first one, the 11-cis retinol plus opsin. Opsin is a type of protein. This opsin is going to combine with the 11-cis retinol. It is a component of vitamin A. These two are combining together and they are forming the rhodopsin. Rhodopsin, you know now, it is the rod cells protein, and it is performing their action in the dim light. If the person is entered in a dark room or in the dim light, then rhodopsin protein will be activated, and it is due to the formation of vitamin A. And now you know which vitamin A component, that is 11-cis retinol, and this is combined with protein opsin, and these two are forming the rhodopsin. So these are also called as visual purple pigment. Next one, what is the Wald's visual pathway? It is the mechanism through which the vitamins are performing their action. We can see here the all trans retinol in the retina. We are looking now on the retina of our eyes, and on the retina now, you know, there is a layers by layer cells are present. So on the retina there is a rhodopsin layers is present, and it is the photoreceptor cells are there, and they are performing the visual function. So the first one is all trans retinol is going to convert into the all trans retinol, that is for primarily it will is the aldehyde or alcohol, that is the alcohol group. Next one is aldehyde. Next one we can see 11-cis retinol plus opsin. These are converting the first, I know there is a rhodopsin. 11-cis retinol is combined with opsin and they forming a structure, that one is called as rhodopsin, and this is the photoreceptor action. Next one we can see this rhodopsin is after the photoisomerization, when the light is fall on the retina. When the light is fall on the retina and the rhodopsin receptors of the retina, they converting the rhodopsin into the meta rhodopsin. Basically they are converting the retina into the rhodopsin into the meta rhodopsin, and this method is called as photoisomerization. This meta, we can see here, meta rhodopsin 2 is converted into again into the all trans retinol by the opsin release. This opsin protein will be again released, and this pathway, all trans retinol conversion, is called as Wald's visual pathway. This is what is happening inside our retina, and then person can see in the dim light. So this is the visual function. What is the role of metarhodopsin here? Metarhodopsin 2. Here we can see that the metarhodopsin 2 is performing their action. They activates a protein that is called as transducin. This metarhodopsin is activating a protein that is transducin protein, and which is acting on the GPCR, that is the G protein coupled receptor. It is the going to inactivate here this GPCR protein. You know from the physiology, the GPCR, how they are acting, the alpha beta gamma subunits of the GPCR. So I'm not going to discussing about the detail about the GPCR. Here we are going to see just only one. The GPCR is inactivated and it leads to the GTP is binding. Transducin is going to bind the GTP and activate them. So it is going to activate form, and after that they activate the enzyme that is called as phosphodiesterase enzyme. First what happened, the metarhodopsin second is going to activate the transducin. It is activating the GPCR and it inactivate the transducin, which is converting the active form of GTP. Next, phosphodiesterase enzyme is going to convert the cGMP, that is the cyclic, we can see here, there is the cyclic GMP is converting into the 5' GMP, and after that this 5' GMP is responsible for the conversion of open sodium channel is going to be closed here, and this is what is happen universally opposite to the sodium channel. Mainly what happen, if the sodium channel is closed, we are going to phosphorylate them and sodium channel will be open, and there is a happening mainly depolarization. But in the case of eye, there is a happen 5' GMP is going to close the sodium channel and there is a hyperpolarization will be happen. In our normal cells, if the sodium ion we can say, in the normal cells, if the sodium channel is open, there is a depolarization is happening, but in the eye there is opposite, hyperpolarization is appear. In normal cells, for the hyperpolarization, which ion is responsible, that is potassium. If it enters in the cell, then there is a polarization, we can see. Next we can see there is a regulation of gene expression by the vitamin A. How the vitamin A is going to regulate the genetic expression in our body, we can see here. They helps in growth and development and the tissue differentiation. Already told you it is going to helping in the growth, development and tissue differentiation. There is a retinoic acid is needed for it. For dissolve function, and there is a also similar to the steroid hormone function of this retinoic acid. So let's start. The vitamin A receptors in our cells, suppose that here is the cell, you know the two types of receptors, one is the extracellular and one is the intracellular receptors. Extracellular receptors are the receptors through which the ligands are going to bind on the surface of the cell, but if the ligands are enter inside the cell and then binding to the cytoplasm, these are the cytoplasm region and this is the nucleus. On the nucleus the receptors are present, these are called as nuclear receptor. On the cytoplasm they are called as cytoplasmic receptor. Basically we can say cytoplasmic receptor and here nuclear receptor. These two receptors are called as combinedly intracellular receptor. So now you know the inside the cell, if the any ligand is going to bind or the any chemical mediators is going to bind to the cytoplasmic receptor, either nuclear receptor, they are called as the intracellular receptor. If on the surface, then they are the extracellular receptor. So vitamin A receptors are present on the nucleus, that's why they are acting on the nuclear receptor. This is a very important question here. So where the location of vitamin A receptor, now you know. Vitamin A receptor is located in the nucleus, on the nucleus, in the nuclear receptor, and inside the nucleus on the gene, the response element A target. Suppose that this is the segment of the DNA on which there is a gene is located here, and on this gene there is a having a response segment is present on the, we can say like the response element. They are going to somehow altered by the vitamin A. I'm not going to discuss about the detail, but somehow this response element is going to altered inside the gene, and there is a change in the genetic expression of that person. So the genetic regulation is done by the response element on the gene. Next one, we can see the two types of receptors inside the vitamin A. We can see the two types of receptor basically on the action of genetic regulation: retinoic acid receptor and retinoic acid X receptor. Retinoic acid receptor is called as RAR. We can see RAR, but here RXR, we can say RXR because they are the retinoic acid X receptor. Now next section we are going to see about the what they are doing. These receptors are what they are going to do on the gene. We can see here is the gene. We can see here is the gene, and on the gene there is a response element. We can see response element. So there is a retinoic acid receptors are located on this, and this receptor element is going to perform their action by these receptors. So we can see the RXR is same. They are going to forming the heterodimer structure by the RXR and VDR. There is two components of the receptors are located inside it. Either RXR binding to the vitamin D receptor, and they are forming the heterodimer, and these vitamin D receptors, these are combinedly called as vitamin D receptor. Vitamin D receptor and RXR. RXR is for the vitamin A. Now you know vitamin A, and the VDR for the vitamin D, and they are combinedly. So that's why they are called as heterodimer. Next one we can see vitamin D deficiency or the thyroid hormone deficiency will be similar to leading to the vitamin A deficiency. If the any patient is suffer from the vitamin D deficiency or the thyroid hormone deficiency, there is having also somehow the deficiency of vitamin A. Next one we can see what is the main role of the deficiency of vitamin A and what happens in the patient. So we are going to discuss about the one by one in the different parts of our body where the region the patient is having deficiency of vitamin A is leads to any disease. So first one is eye. Now you know the role of vitamin A in the eye. There is a loss of vision to the green light, and green light having the wavelength is 500 nanometer. So somehow the person losing his eyesight and the losing his vision by for the green light mainly, and that is 500 nanometer. This is the first sign of the, this is the earliest sign of the patient is having loss of or the deficiency of vitamin A. It is the first sign. If the any person is going to lose his vision to the green light, for the green light, then it is the first sign of the loss of vitamin A. Next one, the earliest symptoms we can see, there is a nyctalopia. It means it is the another term, it is a scientific term for the night blindness. It means basically similar to the not able to see. If the any person is present here, it is he is not going to able to see the dim light. It means if the any person going to enter dark light, they are not going to adjust their receptors in the eye. So these are the nyctalopia is the earliest symptom. Which is the earliest sign? That is the earliest sign is the loss of vision for the green light, but earliest symptoms is the nyctalopia, that is the night blindness. Somehow it is not going to see in the dim light. Next one we can see there is the dryness of conjunctiva and cornea. Now you know the dryness of conjunctiva, inside our eyes there is a white pot, and inside it, that is conjunctiva is going to dry, the cornea is going to dry, and the dryness of eye, the term is scientifically representing here, that is the zero means dry, ophthalmia means eye. So the dryness of eye somehow seen in these patients. Next one, kerate. Kerate means corneitis, means inflammation. There is a keratitis in the patient we can see, and there is a special term, that is the Biot's sign. Biot's sign or the Biot's spot will be seen in the sclera of the eye. We can see here in the white part of the eye there is a Biot's spot will be seen. We can see clearly. I'm zooming. There is a Biot's spot. This structure is the Biot's spot here, and this is somehow neglecting the person is having keratitis or the different types of region. We can see there is a disease will be associated to them. So next one we can see Biot's spot. After that there is a corneal ulcers. Corneal ulcers we can see. We can see here corneal ulcer, that is called as keratomalacia. The the thinning, or we can say there is a softening of the cornea. Next one, the most common deficiency of vitamin A is leads to the eye damage, this one, and the most common cause is preventable blindness. These all are the symptoms associated with the eyes. Next one, we can see about the skin. In the skin, somehow there is a follicular hyperkeratosis, papular dermatitis, and the toad's skin, that is called as paranoderma, that is means frog like skin. The frog skin will be the somehow color and somehow patches form. So there is a paranoderma skin will be this way, that is called as the frog like skin will be seen. The toad's like skin will be seen in these patients where there is a deficiency of vitamin A, that is follicular hyperkeratosis. Next one, due to the blockage of adnexal gland. Adnexal gland is the mixture of some glands. We can say there's a group of some glands which is associated on the our skin surface, that is sweat glands or the another glands of the skin. They are situated just below the skin. Next one is the squamous metaplasia, the changing in the epithelium of the skin. Next one, we can see the mucus secreting epithelium, that is urinary tract and the respiratory tract. In our urinary tract and respiratory tract there is somehow a changing in the epithelium due to the vitamin A deficiency in the skin. Next one, the toxicity. We are going to see about the toxicity. What happens if the patient is taking a higher dosage of the vitamin A? If the any patient is having toxicity of the vitamin A is somehow representing in the two form, there is a acute case and the next one is chronic case. What happened in the acute case? There is a two types of acute case symptoms we can see: pseudo tumor cerebri and exfoliating dermatitis. Exfoliating dermatitis is simple, the scaling or peeling of the skin from the dermis level, and next pseudo tumor cerebri. It is the group of symptoms, the pseudo tumor cerebri, including the somehow they also same in the brain tumor. What is it? Headache. There is a headache in the patient. There is the vomiting in the patient. There is a vomiting. There is a dizziness in the patient. Blurring of vision in the patient. And these all are going to increase the intracranial pressure of the patient. So these all symptoms are combinedly called as the pseudo tumor. It means slightly somehow these are indicating the tumor in the brain and leading to the vomiting, dizziness, headache, or the blurring of the vision. These all are the symptoms including. So these are related to the acute case. What happen if the patient is having chronic case? There is a weight loss in the patient, vomiting, nausea, bony exostosis. Next one, the joint pain, and the if the any patient is having retinoic acid amount will be increased. This increase of retinoic acid will be leads to promotes the action of osteoclast activity will be increased. If the osteoclast activity will be increased, osteoclast means osteo means there is bone and clast means deforming cells. So these are going to deform, somehow the bone cells will be going to deform and it leads to the bone resorption. What does it mean, bone resorption? Somehow suppose that this is the bone and there is a minerals or the associated minerals of these bones are going to deforming or the reabsorb from here. It is going to come out from these bones and they are called as bone resorption. So the chances of the fracture of bone, the chances of the fracture of bone will be increased in these patients. So especially the hip bones are going to fracture in this patient and the chances of fracture will be increased. Next, the therapeutic applications of vitamin A. What is the therapeutic application of the vitamin A? We can see here therapeutic application. The first, beta carotene, all trans retinoic acid, and the beta carotene is giving in the patient is having any cutaneous photosensitivity or the photoprotective mechanism, and in the all trans retinoic acid if the patient is having skin aging, the skin will be going to looking very wrinkled or the many different types of aging will be appeared in the skin. The mild acne will be appear on the face. Next, acute promyelocytic leukemia, these are also differentiated. There is a differentiation therapy will be given to these patients. Next one, we can see the 13-cis retinoic acid. We can see 13-cis retinoic acid will be associated with the cystic acne or the childhood neuroblastoma. In the severe cases of this deficiency of the 13-cis retinoic acid, the patient is having appear somehow the acne on his face and it is the very severe form. And these patients are having, if the higher dose will be given, that is the isotretinoin, we can see the isotretinoin, they are leads to the teratogenic effect of this if there is higher amount in it. Next we can see the sources of vitamin A and the RDA of vitamin A. The sources will be mainly from the animals. From the animals we can see the retinoids will be again by the liver. Eggs will be taken, butter, cheese, milk, fish and meat. These are the rich source of the animal for the vitamin A. Next one, the richest plant source we can see here, that is carrot, the most important here. Next one is mango, somehow, and then the papaya somehow. Next one, the richest source of vitamin A, the richest one is the halibut liver oil is the richest one, and it is the fish oil. Halibut liver oil is the richest source. It is the very important here. What is the richest source of vitamin A? Recommended dietary allowance we can see RDA. Recommended dietary allowance, it is must to know about it. It is a component of two things, that is EAR and 2SD, that is standard deviations is 2 times, and there is a estimated average requirements of these vitamins. So in the children there is a 400 microgram per day, and in the men or women, in the normal adult patient there is a 600 microgram per day, and in the pregnant ladies we are going to give there is a 800 microgram per day, and in the lactating mother we are giving 950 microgram per day is it. So these are the daily dietary allowance is given to these patients. So this is all about the vitamin A. In next section we are going to discuss about the vitamin D, E, K, maybe in the different sections or in the same video. So see you. Thank you.